I'm working this morning out along the road and specifically cleaning up a mess that I'm trying to figure out the origin of. Was it deer? Was it intense rain? Was it wind? The Miscanthus component of our living wall had a collapse. I'd like to share notes about what I'm seeing so far. As I look into our living wall here, I can see some areas where the Miscanthus is still standing somewhat. I think there was a combination of things that happened. A few nights ago, we had an intense thunderstorm, very intense rains, lots of really turbulent winds. I've also noticed a little bit of deer browse starting to happen through here. I wonder, maybe this is a made-up story, but during that rainstorm with all the wind, was a deer spooked and pushed through here? Maybe not, but either way, all of these grasses got pinned down really intensely. I wanted to give them a few days to see if they'd be able to rebound on their own. They are clearly not able to. Some of the ones that were not crushed are just fine, but any that were are having a hard time. I think this could have repaired itself if things were a little different in here. Miscanthus is considered a C4 pathway plant, which means they really love light. They love as much as they could possibly get. This has been a key element of our living wall for a number of years, and early on, this band of Miscanthus got a massive amount of light. But over the years, the woody perennials, the trees, the shrubs have really filled in. And I think now, having had a physical pressure of a deer running through them and or intense rain and wind, probably the combo thereof, they're not able to get enough light to really push themselves back up. Plus, it's really moist and cool in here, so a lot of the humidity, a lot of the rain is still on these leaves, adding just more weight. Metaphoric in the road, do I clear every other plant around these in order to make sure they can get their needs met? Or do I acknowledge that this part of the system might be winding down, but I don't want to leave them in this haggard mess. I don't think it's good for the Miscanthus if they are going to survive in here. It's an opportunity to learn what does it mean to take a green manure harvest off of Miscanthus in mid-June. I've never cut from them during the summer. I always give them the entire summer to grow and build their bodies. They stand over winter and they're cut early spring. But now, I'm going to generate a ton of green manure. I think we'll use this as mulch in our walkways, and we'll see. Maybe there's enough time in the season for a whole new flush of growth to happen, and we can split the difference in the fall of doing the canopy clearing a bit we had planned on, pollarding these trees, not removing them, not killing them, but just cutting them back so more light next year can get into the Miscanthus. I'm going to clean this up for a bit and see what sort of yield I actually get from this event. It looks like I haven't done anything. This is about 10 or 15 minutes of cutting. I probably cut out most of 8 feet worth of bed. This is a 6-year-old planting, so the stumps are getting really nicely established. I used my pruners, my Okatsune pruners, so that I could then go through and see where there were some clumps that weren't pinned down. I might pause here today so that I can manage what I've cut so far and see if maybe this rebounds. I suspect it won't, so we'll probably have to finish that up in a little bit. Some side yields that happen, some side benefits, and this is the beauty of diversity in these systems. I forgot there's a male hardy kiwi that was in the middle of this Miscanthus. It's climbing up into some volunteer black walnuts. They're going to get a really happy day of light release. These black currants will be able to ripen more evenly now. The sunchokes over here that were pinned down are going to get more light. They'll be able to straighten up. This smoke bush will get some more light. So it's a really great reminder, as per always, redundancy. We want a visual wall between us and the road, but we also love diversity and multiple yields. This Miscanthus collapsing is sad for the Miscanthus, a little sad for us, but super glad for all these other light released friends. I never would have cut them in an average year, but now that there's this collapse, there's a boom in other ways. I'm going to work with that green manure. It's super heavy, super loaded with water, and see what it looks like in the garden. This is just a little bit of that Miscanthus, maybe 10 or 20%. I don't know, kind of like it. It's a nice little walkway. Certainly it's going to benefit the ground in the walkway. It'll do great weed suppression. It will define the walkways nicely. It's going to retain any rains really well and actively feed all the fungal life and the worms that are in the soil there. So interesting yield, and maybe not a reminder, but an observation that at least sometimes the collapse of a dominant member of a system may beget some beneficial cascading effects for other members that have been marginalized. Thanks, Miscanthus. We still love you.